Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to tutorial A3.2. Today I'm going to show you how to do the second portion of the Photoshop assignment, which is the section rendering. So you already completed the site plan and render it in Photoshop. And now I'm going to show you how to do this portion, which is creating the section rendering and then making the presentation board in Photoshop to show your project. So the first thing we're going to do is that I'm going to go to CAD. This is the layout. So this was the layout that we had for all the other things, where you got the site plan, the label, and the section. What I did is that I duplicated the layout. So you just right click, duplicate. And then what that is going to do is you're going to create a new one. And for this one, I just deleted everything else and left the section. So this is the section that I'm going to render. I'm just gonna go and right click print. And then I am going to go with this size, and I'm just going to make sure that it's in grayscale. And then I'm gonna save as PDF, and I'm gonna save it as section-based render, and then save. What that does need to do is going to create a PDF. And now we go to Photoshop, and we're going to create a new file. I'm gonna go to inches, and I'm gonna do 20 by 10. And then the resolution, I'm gonna make sure that it's at 300. Everything else is like that. And then this one is going to be called section rendering. And then create. So that is going to create a white document, the same way that we had it in the site plan. Then I'm gonna go to file, and I'm gonna place linked. And I'm going to make sure that I use section base for render. It opens something like this, and then I'm gonna press OK. And this is the PDF. This is what it creates, right? So now I am going to bring this one down and kind of create it there. So what are the steps to do this? There are multiple. One step will be to color the buildings. The next one will be to add trees, add people, and all of that. Right now I have the trees, but this tree, for example, over here is kind of in the way of that building. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna go to the section again, and I'm gonna delete the trees, re-export this, and then once I re-export this, I'll have a section with no trees, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm in Photoshop, and I have the section with no trees for now. So let's start rendering. I'm going to select the buildings. So I'm going to select this building, and this building. And I'm gonna go to the yin yang tool, and then I'm gonna create a solid color. I'm going to create like a grayish color for those buildings, maybe lighter. And that is going to be called that. Those are the buildings in the background. So what things we need in the background? We need the buildings that are not being cut, like these ones that are cut are white. The ones in the background are not going to be white because they're not being cut. Then we need to have a sky. So an option to add a sky is to grab a texture. So just go and find one. I use Adobe Stock. I'm gonna go with a less realistic section. So I grab this watercolor sky, and then I will just save it in a folder that I have, and I'm going to open it. This one, sky. It's this one, so I'm just gonna copy it, and I'm gonna have it here. So let's make it the size that we need, and then let's make sure that we bring it to the back. So right now we can see that it's too bright and then it's too big, right? So let's turn it off. Let's select everything that is under the section line, because that we don't need. So we go to the magic wand and we select everything that is under. That we don't need, but what also we don't need? We don't need the buildings, right? So let's add the buildings to that selection. So this is what we have. We're going to invert this selection so we can make a clipping mask. So we go to select, and then here we invert the selection. And now it's only selecting the sky. And then we create a clipping mask of the sky. And now we have a sky for our project. Let's make it a little bit less like a blocky thing. So I'm just gonna select the paint bucket. I'm gonna make it white, because remember, white removes from a mask. And then I'm gonna start coloring random things to make it a bit less like a blocky thing. So let's do it, let's have it like that, right? And now I'm gonna lower the opacity to around 40 or 50. And now we have a sky. So let's say this is the sky and this is our section. What other things you need for a section? You need this section line to be a bit thicker. And I'm gonna show you how to do that in Photoshop. So there is this tool that is called the pen tool. I'm going to select it, and I am going to draw the same section line that you have. So I'm just gonna go and do that. And then once I have it drawn, I'll show you what else we can do. So now what I'm going to make sure after I have this line drawn is that I'm going to go to the brush tool. I'm gonna make sure that I have just a normal circular brush selected, that I have it in black. And I'm gonna go back to the pen tool, right click, stroke path, brush. And what that does is that it makes that line thicker, right? You can play with the thickness you want. So you can do 10, you can do more. Let's do 12. And then right click, stroke path, and then okay. So now we have it. This is the section line. So now it shows that you're cut everything in the front, and then in the back you have the background. Now let's add people. So there are multiple ways of adding people. One way is to use Entourage, which is what we mentioned in lecture last time. And where do you find Entourage? There are multiple websites. One will be to go to Adobe Stock and find people. And then you can find a lot of vectors of people. You can also go to Mr. Cutout, which is another website, and you go to people. And there are a lot of different people, right? So how you add this type of people? So let's say that we want this one, and then let's download it. We open it. We have a PNG. Let's drag it to our section. Then we have it here, right? So now what we need to make sure is that it's the right scale. So let's put it around here, and let's make sure that it's the right scale. Now let's say that's the right scale, and they are standing right here. So that's one way of adding people. You can add as many as you want. You can copy the same one and add it throughout your drawing, and that will be one way of adding people. Another way is to add it with a brush. And how you add it with a brush? I uploaded a brush group to Canvas. How you use the brushes? So you press the brush, and then you press in this down arrow, and you press in sort of like the configuration or like the settings icon. And then you import brushes. I have the brushes set. It's sort of like a folder like this. You just click it and open it. And that will import this group of people. These are just random silhouettes. So for example, let's say that I'm going to use this one. And then let's pick the color that I want to do. So let's use like orange. And right now it's huge, so let's lower the size to 100. And let's see how big that is. It's a bit too big now, so let's do 80. And this will create this brush, and then you will just place your person wherever you think it needs to go. Let's say it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. And I have more, so I can select as many as I want. I have this one, 80. Then I'm gonna have this one sort of waving. You see, like you can add as many as you want just using the brush. So the brush is another easy tool when you're doing a section to add people. So we have people, we have a sky, we have the buildings. Let's add a car, because this is sort of like a road. How you do that? Same thing, go online, In Mr. Corral, there are vehicles. You can download anything you want. I have one downloaded here, which is this one. So I'm just gonna go to Photoshop and I'm going to open it. I'm gonna drag it to my render. It's quite big, so I need to scale that one down. Let's say that's the scale. So we have a car. That one is realistic. The people is sort of like silhouette. So what can I do? I can add a solid color on top of that car. So let's say I want to use the same orange. Remember, with Option or Alt, you assign a solid color to a layer. So I just made the car orange and it kind of matches the same color as the rest of the things. Or I can make it blue, any color that I want, or I can just leave it realistic, right? But I have a car. What are we missing? We're missing trees, but we don't know where the trees go, right? So we have to go back to CAD, re-add the trees, and then re-export. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so we add it and it's like this. So this is where we have trees. So let's add trees. Let's go to Adobe Stock. Let's find trees section. And then there are a lot of different options for trees that you can use. You can also go to the Mr. Cutout website and you go to vegetation. And there are a lot of trees and bushes and things like that. I have my trees saved already in this folder. So I'm gonna open them. So I'm gonna open them and I'm going to select the ones that I want. So let's do one that looks like a pine tree for that one. So let's do this one. That is sort of like the elongated, like the ones that we have here. Let's bring it, put it here. And then we make sure that it's kind of like the size of the one that we have. There it is, and we have two of those. There is another one right here that goes sort of here. We make it big, goes here, enter. And then we have it. So we have our two, we have the trees that we want in the front, and then we need to add trees in the back. So let's add, there's one here that is kind of already cut, so it can work for that one that is in the background of the house. We just select it, bring it, then let's put it here, because you see that it's kind of like already there. So it's kind of already there, so we can just arrange it so it looks kind of similar. But this tree is in the background, so you can see how it goes up in front of the house. We can delete that. We just select what we want to delete, and we delete it. And then we have that tree, but that tree is in the back of the house, so we need to lower the opacity so it's not as prominent as the trees that we have in the front. Then we have another tree here. Let's just pick another tree from here. Let's use this one. We can put this one here. And the same tree we can put right here. And we can change the scale. Okay, and then there is one here. So let's select another one. I can pick a really big tree. And this one will be this in the back. And then because that one is in the background, let's just delete everything in the back. And then let's change the opacity. So this one should be less opaque. So now we have our trees, we have people, we have cars, we have a sky. Maybe this side of the section is missing a tree. So let's add a tree over here. It could be in the front but not being cut. And then, so this is sort of like one really simple way of creating a section. You have the sky, you have everything. Right now the sky could be a little bit dark, so let's lower the opacity. And then we don't need this much sky, so we can also just crop a portion of it to make it smaller, up to you. We can also delete it with a brush to make it less harsh, and that we can do it with a brush. So we have soft round, we can lower the opacity. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it 500. And then what this does is that it starts deleting sky in a more organized way. So it looks less harsh when you delete. we kind of want it to be sort of like fading little by little. So this will be it. So that's sort of like maybe the effect that we want with the sky. So now we have the sky. You could add birds, like if you want, you can just go here, find animals, and let's say we want to add birds like this. Download it. They're here. I'm gonna make them a little small. Okay, so I added those birds, and now we can move them around. So I can have them around here, and I can have another group here, and that will sort of add another touch to your section. And then this is it. So this is the render section. You need to make sure that you add the scale. You add the scale by just adding the Photoshop graphics, the AutoCAD graphic scale and all of that. This, you save it as a PDF. And now I'm going to show you how to do a board. So let's file, save, right? This is the section rendering. And then we're gonna create a new file that is in inches. It is 18 by 24, so 24 by 18. And we want 300 pixels by inch. This will be the board. What we need to add to the board? We need to add the section and we need to add our site plan. So let's save this. This is board. So now let's add the things that we need to add. So for the render site plan, we just basically file, place linked, render site plan, place. We need to make sure that everything fits. Okay, so now we have our site plan. We're going to place linked our section. And so let's have our section and our site plan. They are different scales, so you need to make sure to rewrite the scale. But what things could we do to make this board a bit better? Because this is a square site plan, it's kind of awkward. Your site plans are more rectangular, so it will be easier. So it will be basically as if I had this one and a copy of this one. So it will be like, this will be the site plan, sort of like having a longer site plan instead of having one square one. So let's say you have, that's your site plan. What things you need to add? You need to add your name. So you need to add text, right? Where you add text, there is a text button right here. And let's say that this is Boulder, Colorado. It's not, but I'm just saying that this one is just to add a title. So we can say this is Boulder, Colorado. And then let's say that I want to add my name. So we have a title, right? We have a title. There are multiple things that we can do in Photoshop to make a board better. For example, we can add sort of like color blocks. So what if we add sort of like a rectangle? So this is the title block. So title block. We want to drag it under the text. So we have it. What if we want this text white? Maybe it works better as white. We have Boulder. We have our site plan, we have our section. We need to have titles. So you need to start saying, for example, this is site plan. And then we have another one for this, that is the section. You can have it here, you can have it to the left. Maybe you want to have your title the other way around. So and we want to have it like this. And that way we want to have the titles on top of each drawing. So this is the site plan. This is the section. And then we want to have it like this. So what things are we missing here? We're missing a north arrow, for example. So I have a north arrow that I got from the Noun project. I'll show you what the Noun project is. And then I'm just going to make sure that I add it here. You make sure that you have your north arrow, your scale bar, and everything you need. and you will have a board. You could have text explaining and things like that. I'm going to show you the noun project. So you go here and then you search noun project. And it's a website where you can download icons. So for example, North. And it gives you a lot of North arrows. It gives you PNGs. So you can basically copy and paste it here. And you will get a North arrow. So whatever you prefer. Then this you file, save as PDF. And this PDF is what you submit to the DMC to print. So I hope this tutorial was useful. How to render the section, how to create the board. And then if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Dean so we can help you or your TAs.